If anyone watching this video has never heard of Neighborhood War, well, I pity you. It's truly a fantastic game. How do I know? If you couldn't tell, this game is quite the cool. The last scripted video I made was on fighting, and that game had its own OST and stuff. This game has, I don't know, funny blood I guess. At one point the only videos I was making were Neighborhood War videos, and I had to stop myself. I have been sober for a couple of months now. Anyway, Neighborhood War is different from most gore games because it's a fighting game, whereas the average blood game has you killing dummies and then you get bored after like 5 minutes of playing. I'm gonna play Glory Kill Testing. I've never played before. Let's see how long I last. I'm bored already. There is a reason I have so many hours on this game. The original Neighborhood War was shut down, probably because of the violence. So the devs toned it down in the remaster. I'll refer to it as the original. Then, a while later, Neighborhood War Remake came out, which is the game I'll be talking about. I'll refer to it as Neighborhood War. It removed, changed, and added so much stuff it could be considered its own game, rather than a remake. I first discovered Neighborhood War back in April of 2021, playing the game for hours, messing around, finding secrets, forging alliances with enemies, role-playing as McDonald's workers with them, and getting betrayed. It was some of the most fun I've ever had in Roblox, but eventually I stopped playing. And then Neighborhood War Remake popped into existence. Upon entering the game, you're met with a short startup screen, and then you can choose which team you want to be on, blue, yellow, or red. There's also 2 different screens you can get. The first shows 3 people, probably the 3 teams, in a subway station. They don't look so great. The second screen shows the 3 teams dead. Neighborhood War can be considered a horror game, and you'll see why if you play it yourself. When you pick one of the 3 teams, you can choose your primary, secondary, melee, and gadget. In the original game, you could buy game passes like fish/pigeon weapons, a pigeon grenade, and a headcrab thing that turns enemies into zombies. In this game, there's no game passes. Clicking the spawn button, you are met with your teammates dying, 4-year-olds crying, and people screaming the Russian anthem. I recommend playing public servers for a few hours so you can get a feel for the game. Then move to private servers if you want to mess around with dummies, or explore the map with secrets and Easter eggs, and there's a lot of those. By the way, turning on the blood settings gives you an advantage against others that don't have them on, because when someone you shoot runs away, you can follow the blood trail. And other reasons for why this game is awesome. The best team to pick is usually blue, because you're close to the subway station, but red can be handy too. Just do not pick yellow. It's an eternity in there, stuck for all of time. In other words, pick blue team. It doesn't really matter what primary, secondary, and melee weapons you pick, but the gadgets are a little more complex. I always go with C4 or the medkit, but the others are perfectly viable too, except the handcuffs. Knock someone out, put handcuffs on them, and they're stuck with them until they die or someone else shoots them off, possibly killing them in the process. When the handcuffs are on, you're unable to use any weapons or gadgets, nor can you carry anybody. If Neighborhood War had a competitive scene, these would 100% be banned. In the center of the neighborhood, there's a construction site with a crane. There's a way to get to the tippy top of it, but I'll reveal the super secret strategy later. For now, I'll go through the different parts of the map. Adjacent to the neighborhood is a road. On the left is the police department, and on the right is the subway station. I'll just speed through the police station real quick. Walking through the door right here sets off an alarm so everyone knows you've gone in or out of the building. Except you can literally just bypass the alarm. How do they overlook this? Plus, if you don't have any weapons, gadgets don't count. The alarm doesn't go off. I absolutely love this detail. If this won't convince you that the devs care about the game, then nothing will. There's a staircase leading underground, leading me to the best part of the police department. See these cells? You can open and close them. So, little Johnny has been a bad boy. Instead of spanking him raw, you can put him in detention. But, unfortunately, if little Johnny has a not so little brain, he can just clip through the walls, and most of the time, he won't break his legs from the fall, letting him escape. Going through this tunnel brings you to the sewer system. There's a ton of places you can get to from here, but the biggest and best is the sewer sanctuary. Doing all this leads you to Fio Cafe, formerly Chuck's. Going through the doors leads you to the sewer sanctuary. It's based off the Roblox game, the Iron Cafe. There's a dance floor, you can change the music, the cleanest toilet in the world, a bar, and even a pit made of rotting flesh. But yeah, that's basically sewer sanctuary. Roughly 3mm away from the trenches up here is this secret base, built by New Corp Defense Industries. It's a sort of storage warehouse, storing stuff in a warehouse. In this box there's a note. It says, delivery in Street 58, just across the bridge and a few other kilometers more. Guys, they said kilometers. I think the game is not set in America. Leaving through the exit leads you to the outside area of the map. The world ends after a certain point, bringing me to 3 different conclusions. 1. The flat earth was right all along. 2. A big nuke blew up all of Earth, except this cool neighborhood and the trains that still work. Or the devs didn't make more of the map. Some other place looks the same on the outside, but it's completely empty on the inside. It used to have a blue team thing on one side and a red team on the other. I have no idea why they removed it. Opposite to the police department is that subway station I mentioned. Right before you enter the subway is a tunnel, and at the end of it is a wall that you can blow up and surprise your enemies. This patch of ground can be blown up too. Inside the subway, you can get run over by a train, look at some cool Easter eggs, and blow up the chairs. Going down the tunnel, you arrive at a door. Inside is a room covered in whatever this stuff is. My theory is the walls are moldy Cocoa Pops. There's also this guy, with his stomach blown open and missing half his skull. One Piece reference! One of his eyes is sticking out. Maybe this is what happens when you eat Cocoa Pops past your expiration date? There's a note in front of him saying, "It's all in my head." Looking closer at this guy, there seems to be a bug crawling out of what's left of his head. It has an eyeball and it's different to the other one. The Cocoa Pops became sentient. Going into the staff only room brings you to yet another room. And that is another door to another room. There's some crates of food in it, along with some meat on the ground. There's also a vent. Crawling through it brings you to an empty room besides this thing. You can press the buttons, and there's 100% an order to press them in, but even now, I don't know what it could be. There's a picture behind the buttons, so maybe wherever the image from, an anime called Serial Experiments Lane, leads to the answer to the code. But there is no way I'm watching an entire anime for a video. That'd be stupid. I watched Serial Experiments Lane. The show was pretty good. I didn't know what was going on 99.9% of the time. People said the ending was sad. I didn't even know what had just happened, so I felt nothing. I do find myself thinking about it a lot, even after finishing it. I think that's a pretty good sign. But yeah, I didn't see any codes in it. Maybe someone else can. That someone else is not me. More of the story, don't do what I do. Fairly close to the subway, hidden behind some strategically placed buses, is a laboratory. You need C4 or a grenade to bust in. Realizing that the first time I found it was so cool. It isn't like that in the original. There's blood and gore all over the walls and stuff. I was wrong, guys. There's basically no blood in the entire laboratory. There's this splatter of blood. Don't ask why it's green. And prototype guns. This will hopefully make more sense later when I delve into the lore of Neighborhood War. Understanding the story is like trying to find a good Roblox ad. It's almost impossible. What I'm going to do is keep refreshing the page until I find a good Roblox ad, okay? I think I'm getting all clicker for this. Oh, I found one! While I was researching for this video, I found another video of a guy playing the original Neighborhood War, getting killed by a monster that haunts the lab. Personally, it never happened to me, so I can't be 100% sure the video isn't fake, but it's pretty interesting nonetheless. There's no monster in this lab anyway. There's two doors in here. One's called the Demon Generator, and the other is, I don't know. You need a code to get in, but I can't figure out what it is. Try 1234 if you want. The group shout in the official Neighborhood War group literally says the code is. There's trolling, then there's bullying, and this guy has single-handedly bullied millions of people. The other door has a code too, but everyone knows it. It's Street 58. It opens an elevator, and going down brings you to the scariest part of Neighborhood War Remake. I'll dub it Neighborhood Lore. Hi guys! Open this door, go through this other door, walk for however long down this corridor, and you'll see a message saying, it's gone now. Spoiler alert, there's no monster. Even with that knowledge, I still find this part of the game terrifying. Continuing past this spooky corridor, and blowing up this door will greet you with a big room. Inside here is a note saying, who is Stinker? My spook theory is, while there isn't a monster here now, there was at one point, leading to all the scientists dying and stuff. Its name was Stinker because he was stinky. But I guess I couldn't get past the doors, so it died from boredom. If that's the case though, then where the heck is his body? My first guess was that this is it, but that's past the door. Maybe it was a liquid and could smush itself past doors, but couldn't get up the elevator? Looking at the body parts of the scientists, they're also stuck in the smoke, which supports my theory of the monster being a liquidy thing. In the storage room, next to a vent, are two notes. The first says, I was right. The second says, all wrong! Next to those are like 15 bajillion trillion quadrillion notes, saying stuff like, follow my truth and I am only. In the center is a note saying, Wobbledines. Buckle up because this is confusing. Tapping Wobbledines into the Roblox search bar brings up an account. His description is a bunch of zeros, ones, twos, and threes. They really didn't want to make this easy, did they? For most of the attempts to decipher the code for the sake of entertainment, I tried a cipher and it brought me to a different website and showed me my IP address. That did not stop me from trying though. Bing AI showed up, so of course I asked it for help, and it gave me 131 keys to press. I asked again, and it gave me text that rivals the length of One Piece. Then I told it that I didn't really want to be spending the next 26 years pressing the same two buttons repeatedly, so it gave me a shorter version. I counted it, and the shorter version was, in fact, longer than the longer version. I think it was doing it out of spite. Oh well, I didn't lose much, except maybe my IP address. If I don't upload ever again after this video, it's because someone showed up at my house and killed me. But that isn't where the story ends. I found out that Wobbledines is a mod for People Playground. My brother has over 700 hours in the game. Introducing cats. There's also a gift of the cats. Plus, someone made a post on the Game Theory subreddit talking about how he found lore. A guy in the comments said he converted the code to hex, then into binary, and it came with a link to an image of a red fish. That's all it is. My IP address getting sacrificed was for nothing. There's a house over here, and clipping inside shows you the same notes that are inside the lab, along with a vending machine. There are images of a black figure being in here, but it's gone now. It's still in one of the rooms in this underground lab place though. Behind the yellow houses is Area 51, along with one of those things you can stick your head through. In a nearby metal container is a sniper. Say hello to OSV-96ST, the best weapon in the game. I'm not telling a word of a lie when I say that it obliterates anybody that happens to be on the receiving end of the gun. It's so powerful that you hear ringing in your ears after you shoot it. To combat how good this weapon is, it only spawns once every like 25 minutes or so. Okay, with all that info out of the way, I can at last theorize about the lore of Neighborhood Poor. Scattered around the map are notes. Some are written by someone called Your Friend. Maybe they are the shadow figure? They tell you things like, don't trust or contact that man. What's he talking about? And some are written by scientists, detailing how to work the satellites you may have seen up in the mountains. Fun fact, you can get to this one and it shows the override code. And the people that made the satellite, Noob Corp Defense Industries. There was a different company called Noob Corp in the original, I think. Unfortunately, only one satellite is accessible. The others are hidden behind invisible barriers. To reach the satellite, you need C4 and a lot of patience. Place the C4 thing on the wall, climb onto it and place another one around here. Repeat that process for about 10 minutes and voila! You've reached the satellite. This works on any wall that doesn't curve inward. It even works on barriers. That's how I got up to the peak of the crane earlier on. Before I went on the tangent there, I was talking about the notes. Some, as I said, are made by the scientists that work at Noob Corp Defense Industries, detailing how to work the satellites, using a computer that the devs have since removed from the game. A lot of information on the pages is in code, and if anyone can translate all this in the comments, please do that. You'll be a great help, soldier. Anyway, using my extreme intelligence, I have deduced that the world of Neighborhood lore is post-apocalyptic. There's even a nuke in the original. So, we know that for sure, but here's where it gets tricky. There's two bridges leading in and out of the map, but they're both broken. On the other end of one, there's a tank with smoke coming out of it. Aiming at the bridge, there's even some debris. So it's fairly safe to assume that someone, or a group of people, have isolated everyone in the neighborhood. But the tank is only just fired on the bridge 10 seconds ago. Why is all the metal rusty and why are the human bodies rotted? Couldn't the people that lived in the neighborhood have left through the other bridge? Well, what I'm about to say is pretty far-fetched, but I can't think of anything else, so once again, you're going to have to bear with me. The reason no one left through the bridge before it was blown up was because they were afraid the satellites were going to kaboom them into space if they tried to escape. Eventually, people became desperate and tried anyway, hence the military blowing up the one remaining bridge. It's fine if you disagree with me, I know I would, but I challenge you to come up with a better theory if you can. Why does Noob Corp Defense Industries exist? What is there to defend against? Your mom. I really wish that Matt Patch did a theory on this, but as I said before, he's leaving. Meaning I had to make these awful guesses and stuff. Anyway, they were developing weapons. Why? Maybe to give to the military or to defend against that monster? Moving on, I noticed that two of the satellites had a red tip, while the only one you can get to has a green tip. What does this mean? I don't know, Jesus I guess. While we're on the subject of Jesus, I think he's a Binding of Isaac fan because he has Sacred Heart. Maybe it's his favourite item? It's possible the neighbourhood has gotten access to the satellite. Green does mean good after all. Actually, I was just reminded that there's 4 teams in Neighborhood War Remake. Blue, yellow, red and white. Noob Corp Defense Industries are white. When loading into the game, you start off as white. Maybe the military and government are black? There's no pink team. I imagine that the white team is completely neutral because you cannot play as them. As I said, before you pick any teams, you're on the white team. You're a spectator, not participating in the neighborhood war. So, we know that Noob Corp Defense Industries are on the white team, and they built the lab, which is white, and the satellites, and they're also white. Did they also build the police department? Yes. Yes, they did. Probably. Hopefully. That, or it existed before the neighborhood became the neighborhood gore. It's the same with the subway station, and the graveyard, and the underground stuff, and the sewers, and the sewer sanctuary, and the bridges, and the car park, and the crane, and the baby crane, and the military bases, and the... Actually, wait. I think the 3 teams made the trenches themselves. Now that the video is almost over, I think it's time to reflect on what we learned today, and Neighborhood War Remake as a whole. Well, we learned that violence is rad and never get a tank and blow up a bridge, despite what Just Cause 3 taught me when I was a kiddywink. As for Neighborhood War, well, I like it. Fantastic game, abysmal community, and lore that makes me want to hurl my computer off a cliff. I think that when it comes to gory games on Roblox, there really isn't anything better than this game. You could say that it wipes the neighborhood floor with them. As always, my sincere thanks to my Patreon supporters. Look, there they are now. My family and friends for the support, and the devs for making this awful game. Though I'm still waiting for them to make Neighborhood War Remastered Remake Remaster. Now, if you excuse me, I'll get back to making the Neighborhood War movie. But before that, I'll say one last thing. Remember when I said Neighborhood War is truly a fantastic game? How do I know? How do I know? Well, the answer to that question is because I actually made Neighborhood.
You may promise, don't tell no one about this.